All right, let's unpack a beautifully simple story that has, honestly, a profound lesson for our crazy modern lives. It's all about a monk, a spoon, and a pretty powerful secret to getting back your peace of mind. So let's just dive right in with a question I think we've all asked ourselves. Have you ever felt just stuck? Like you're swimming in a toxic environment, maybe at work or online, and you just can't seem to get away from it. Well, that feeling is exactly where our story kicks off. It starts with this young student monk who is just completely fed up. He goes to his master and basically says, "I'm out. This place is toxic, and the only way I can find peace is to leave and find somewhere better." And he lays out his whole case, right? He feels like the monastery is just a hotbed of negativity. You've got monks talking politics all the time, others who are just constantly negative, and then there's the gossip, endless gossip. He feels like it's impossible for him to focus on what he's actually there for, his spiritual journey. But the master, being a wise old teacher, doesn't just say, "Okay, see ya." Instead, he offers a pretty unusual deal. He says, "You can go, but first you have to do one last thing for me." And this right here is where the story gets really interesting. So, the master hands him a spoon that's filled right to the very brim with water. The task? It sounds simple, but it's incredibly difficult. He has to walk a full circle around the entire monastery. And here's the catch. He can't spill a single tiny drop. If he can do that, he's free to go. The student, thinking this is his golden ticket out of there, totally accepts the challenge, and for hours, he just walks. So slowly, so carefully. Every single bit of his attention, every thought in his head is laser focused on one thing and one thing only, keeping that water in that spoon. Finally, he makes it back to the master, just beaming with pride and honestly, relief. He's done it. He passed the test. He hands over the full spoon, totally ready to pack his bags and leave all that negativity in the dust. But hold on, the master isn't quite done. Before he lets the young monk go, he looks at him and says, "You did a wonderful job. But before you leave, just tell me something." And this is the moment the real lesson begins to unfold. The master starts asking about the very things that made the monk want to leave. First question up, "Hey, on your walk, did you happen to hear any of the monks talking politics?" Then he keeps going, hitting the next item on the student's complaint list. He asks, "What about gossip? Did you hear any of that while you were walking around?" And then the master asks the final, most piercing question. He goes right to the heart of the student's pain, asking if he heard any of that negative talk aimed personally at him. And the monk's answer? Oh, this is the entire point of the story. You can almost see the light bulb go on above his head as he realizes it himself. He says, "Master, I didn't hear a thing. Not the politics, not the gossip, nothing." His entire world had become that little spoon of water. He was so completely focused on his task. Everything else just became silence. So here's the big idea. Focus isn't just about concentration. In this story, it's a shield. When you are totally absorbed in your own purpose, your own spoonful of water, the negativity doesn't magically disappear. It's still there, but it loses all its power. It just becomes background noise. And this illustrates the choice we all have every single day. If you put all your attention on other people's behavior, on their drama, you're going to see toxicity everywhere. But if you shift that attention to your own goals, your own purpose, all that negativity just fades into the background. So let's bring this into our world right now. This story isn't really about a temple, is it? Your monastery could easily be a tough day at the office, or the endless anger on your social media feed, or even just difficult conversations with people. The principle is exactly the same. The ultimate takeaway here is that running away isn't always the solution. You can't escape every negative person or difficult situation. They kind of exist everywhere. But the one thing you always have control over is your focus. You, and you alone, have the power to decide what gets your energy. Which leaves us with one final, really powerful question to think about. What's your spoonful of water? What goal, what purpose, what passion in your life is so important that it deserves your complete, undivided focus? Because once you find it and really hold on to it, you might be amazed at how quiet the rest of the world can get.